Hello everybody, my name is Imola Frei, and I think you probably have expected Mr. Sándor Fejderneki, who is the chair of the Hungary Green Building Council. Unfortunately, he had a speaking engagement today, this afternoon, so I have to replace him with the presentation. I'm the vice chair and the founder of the Hungary GBC. So what I'm going to talk about today is shortly about the Hungary GBC, just a little introduction. Then a couple of words about legislation, improvements in Hungary, about green building solutions, and case studies about certified buildings currently in Hungary, and a little bit about the do-it-yourself market, about single-family homes, and some opportunities and challenges. I want to thank Steve and the Romania Green Building Council and the Polish Green Building Council in the name of the Hungary GBC that we have the opportunity to have this conference in Budapest. This was an effort to give support to the Hungary GBC as the youngest organization from all the other organizations, because the Hungary GBC is only a prospective member of the World GBC currently, and like everybody knows, the Romania and Polish Green Building Councils are full members, so that they were trying to support our organization in capacity building and knowledge sharing to bring this conference into Budapest. So thank you. The Hungary GBC was formed in January of 2009. It's a little different situation in Hungary than what we have seen in Romania and Poland because of the legal constraints. There were 22 founding members, which were individuals at that time who have established the Hungary GBC. Currently, the Hungary GBC has 6 members and 3 sponsors. The framework is pretty much following the Hungarian requirements. So you see there are 6 members. From the 22 founding members, we have established a board, and at the beginning, this board, which contained of 6 people, were basically taking on themselves as voluntary work to start the organization. Right now, we have 1 person in operations. This is our board. So what we have done in this 1 year, the Hungary GBC was formed, and in Hungary it took a long time to register the GBC, so it was July when we could open it for membership, and since then we got 6 members. Since then, what we have worked on, we had a couple of events. We had a workshop about climate change and a workshop for the 2 certification systems, where we have tried introducing LEED and BREEAM with certified individuals talking about the subject. But there are some international certified people who were involved in forming the Hungary GBC, so that helped to answer some of the early questions in regards of certification. I would compare the Hungary GBC to Jerry's comment when he has mentioned the plane who is trying to take off the runway. So basically the Hungary GBC is the one which is trying to roll and take off the runway, and hopefully that growth is going to come after the hard work in the next year. In regards of certification, the Hungary GBC got a lot of inquiries in regards of LEED and BREEAM in the last year. That's when mostly the awareness in Hungary seemed to pick up in regards of these certifications. It seems it's very competitive in Hungary. The strongest certifications are LEED and BREEAM. There are assessors for BREEAM also in Hungary already and lead APs. Because of this, the Hungary GBC's approach is a multi-system approach right now in this beginning stage, and we are trying to find a way to be able to answer all the questions what the market would have, and try to become that organizational body where everybody could turn to for information about these certifications. So because of that, one of our main priorities at this point, because we also thought that at the beginning the council shouldn't be only about certification, we try to focus on education mostly, and among professionals, because in Hungary also people are aware of these possibilities with the certification system, but it's very hard to find professionals when there is an actual project who can basically lead the project through these sustainable projects. It's also the way of thinking, the integrated design thinking, and for so on. The other focus, what we are as an organization trying to focus, is policy and legislation, and try to become part of the conversation with the government in Hungary. And the other obvious focus of the council is capacity building, of course. So the focus for the council should be from a follower to become a leader, as some other exemplary GBCs around the world are right now. Just a little regional background about Hungary. Our population is about 10 million people, and it's a flat landscape mostly, a couple of hills and low mountains in the north. It's a temperate climate, and why is it important? Because of the energy issue. In Hungary, we have very cold winters and very hot summers, which are kind of unique. In Hungary also, like in many other countries, what they have mentioned, buildings are the largest emitters of CO2, much more than industry, transportation, or agriculture. Just recent data and research shows that because of the crisis in regards of office spaces, there are some significant changes just in compared to last year. For example, this comment shows that a quarter of all leasable office spaces in Budapest are standing empty compared to last year, where there was 13%. And 90% of the newly built offices have no tenants. The construction industry has slowed down significantly in Hungary also, but still, even it's slowed down, there was 91,000 square meters of new office space in the first quarter of 2010. In Hungary, the average rented space is 570 square meters, which is kind of small compared to international standards. The office vacancy rates, just because we are at the CE conference, this might be interesting, are the highest in the region in Hungary, almost 22%. Next, Romania 16, and the Czech Republic, and then Poland. The monthly office space rental fees have fallen significantly also in Hungary in regards of the economic crisis. Specifically in Hungary, 17%. Let's talk about legislation, and of course, I want to highlight the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, which is one of the main focus, and the government is mostly focusing on energy savings, and I think most of you are familiar with the standard. The energy certificate got introduced in January on January 1st, 2009. So the certificate is valid for 10 years, and it is not required under 50 square meters. Another program which is, I would like to highlight, which is pretty new, the Blue program, which I could translate as the Complex Buildings and Climate Protection Program. This program is being just introduced right now, actually just yesterday, on the Consumer Fair, which is one of the biggest construction fair in Hungary, which is taking place this week. And that is going to be a very important part of in the Hungarian green building legislation. It's an operational framework for action. And within this framework, they have a 10-year modernization program of buildings focusing on CO2 emission reduction. And there are some studies at the Central Eastern European University where we'll have workshops tomorrow, and they are actually just doing a research, but they have already released some data. And based on this program, they already predicted that it would create about 200,000, 250,000 jobs in Hungary. This program was put together by the Hungarian Association of Building Materials. So the main focus of the study was to try to increase employment. This is also significant because in Hungary we just had an election last weekend, and this is a program which is supported by the newly elected government. In Hungary, under the Blue program also, this renovation, there are programs which very strongly focus on these high-rise homes, and they are a big problem in the energy savings, and research shows that with some basic techniques which they have studied, they could achieve 85% of energy savings. Right now, they have already started this program, but on average, they only achieve between 25 and 35% of energy savings. So there's a long ahead of us to improve. There's also an interesting characteristic in Hungary. There's 94% of private ownership compared to other parts where that number is around 50%. So that's a different situation in Hungary. I would like to go back for the legislation and just a word before I change to the different certifications. What I see in Hungary is when we talk about green buildings and registration, the focus is very strongly on energy. So what we can learn is how to focus on the other issues which are also important. The status of the certified green buildings, the LEED system, currently there are 8 LEED professionals, 7 LEED APs, and 1 green associate. The certified green buildings in Hungary, there are no certified LEED building right now, but there are a couple of them which are registered. There are new construction, core and shell, and existing buildings. Some of the case studies which are interesting, this building is under construction right now. This Millennium City Center project is going for new construction 2.2 gold certification for LEED. There is another project which is already completed, and it's registered under core and shell, the IFA Square office building. It's also registered for LEED core and shell. The Quadron Business Park, this is the only building which is certified currently in Hungary under BREEAM. And under BREEAM, it has received a very good certification for the design phase back in 2007. What's interesting about this building, that this is the only certified building, and there's only 12% of the occupancy rate of the building right now. There are a couple of other buildings registered under BREEAM, hoping to be certified under very good or good. which is a K3 office building, and another one which is a mixed-use building, the LA Shopping Center, which was just in the headlines in the last couple of days because this project was just sold despite of the crisis. And the building where we have been yesterday with the Green Building Councils in Szentendre, which is a little town to the north of Budapest. It's called the Regional Environmental Center, which is a very unique building. It doesn't have any certifications, but it does have a lot of eco-innovative technologies which they have used. This building is mostly for educational and training use in Hungary. There is another building which is mostly published in regards of sustainable development currently in Hungary. There's the, I miswrote the name, there's the Pannon building. That's north of the Budapest, and that was finished last year. This building is owned by Pannon Mobile. That's why, since they own the building, they have invested in the environmental features. And what's interesting that they have already predicted a return within 7 or 8 years on this building based on the energy savings what they have received. They also have some sustainable features like with the site, they had the possibility to build 30% of the site, and they only built 17% for the site with the building. With the single-family homes, there is a wide range of projects. This project is a villa which was the first project registered under LEED. This is to the north of Budapest in Nagykovácsi. They are currently trying to sell the project. And the other interesting system which is quite popular in Hungary is the passive house system. And there are a couple of projects already certified in Hungary. And just this week, there will be a couple more projects on the Construma construction fair, which will receive new certification. So this is the most growing market for single-family homes in Hungary, the passive house system. There is another very interesting project which I would highlight under the single-family homes movement, which is the autonomous house. And this is basically following mostly the off-grid idea. Some opportunities and challenges. It's an interesting situation in Hungary because of, like I mentioned, there was a government election last weekend, and what could be observed that there is a shift of trust from government in the last couple of years towards NGOs. So this is a great opportunity for a Hungary GBC, like a Green Building Council, to become part of the conversation in regards of policy with the government, because there would be much more trust from towards the NGO. What would be the opportunity to become a leading organization in green, because there is a lot of interest in the movement, and have an active role. There are, of course, as a new organization with the enormous opportunities, quite a bit of challenges, and that's also mostly the funding, membership, and operations, the transparency, and also that the conversation in regards of green building is still fragmented in Hungary. There are very few experts who are formally trained currently. And what's significant is that the focus is still mostly on short-term returns, and we have to learn to think ahead. So thank you very much for your attention.
I'd like to received some subjective views from all three of you regarding the genuine attitudes of developers in your respective countries about being green. The reason I'm asking this is because if you do this questionnaire type survey about whether you want to save the planet, you'll get the same results as whether they think puppies are cute or something. Mm-hmm. And the other reason I'm asking is because I have heard from NGOs as well as other developers that basically anybody can get a certification. So that's a very strong criticism about how these documents are awarded. I'd like to have your insights on that also. Thank you.
Okay. I can start with just from my side. In Romania, there is a tremendous shift in developers' attitudes. To simplify it greatly, 2 years ago, everybody had money but no time. Now they have time and no money to talk about green. They are investing and they are restarting, moving things. But I really have to say that I always judge by executive commitment. Am I talking with the PR and marketing side when I talk to them, or am I talking with the CEO or the principal of an investor group? And it's really been a major shift in Romania. And I had probably two to three active conversations a few years ago. Now I have probably 40, 50 conversations, and they're serious. They understand it. I would also say, I mean, as far as the rating, I think it's an important question. It's our job to convince everyone that not only green building is a good idea, but of course with the tools that we assess those, that they have to be credible. And I've analyzed all of the green building tools that the World Green Building Council puts forward through their member companies. And I would say we're very comfortable recommending all of them as legitimate tools to assess if a building is green or not. And there's obviously a starting point. What's interesting is that these tools are really designed to get you to compete with yourself and with your peers each time. And so each time you start, you want to do a better building. So we could say, if we look at some of the very beginning parts of a certification, or the lowest certification, it's probably not that much. Well, we can't really call it a green building. It's a greener building. But as we move through the process, I think it's very impressive. And I've been impressed with all of the rating systems' interest in really coming up with something truly transformational at the end. And I think all of them get that we're not there today and we have to keep improving. So it is true there is a perception, but I think it's really based on really a lack of understanding. Because while I would say that the investors are very interested in my first response, I would also say there's a lot of education to be done and about what that needs. So I think I'll pass it to my colleagues if you want to.
So in our country, it is still challenging to get the certifications, and it's a lot of it is because of lack of information, lack of trained professionals, and lack of general perception of the concepts. However, more and more companies are actually interested in getting certifications, and I would say that there is a different level of difficulties for various certifications, with, for instance, the EU Green Building being the most popular because it's energy efficiency and it's the easiest to receive. And then the next one would be lower levels of BREEAM, and then the most difficult one to obtain would be LEED. And it's because of many items, and one important aspect is that many manufacturers don't yet have the required documentation and information about, chain of custody, VOC, or reflectance, high albedo numbers. So that's pretty difficult. But still, again, there is 20 buildings registered, there's 12 buildings under BREEAM, and there's those 3 buildings in EU Green Building, so I think it's a good projection for the future. And talking about developers, I would say that yes, majority, especially of those who are trying to gain a lot of money quickly, they are not very interested. However, the better companies, I would say, are interested, and many of them are very extremely devoted to sustainability, and you can see it in our membership. We have Skanska, who is basically doing green across the world, and also CFE and many others to follow.
I would agree that in Hungary, the awareness is there from the part of developers. We have seen a lot of interest in the Green Building Council coming in, and it was growing pretty quickly in the last year, even just compared to 2008. So they do know about the certification. I feel that in Hungary, the cost is still a major conversation piece when it comes to actually proceed with the certification.
Other questions?
Hi, I've been told to stand up. Could I ask all three panelists, if they could give some estimation, what percentage of, for example, new office developments are being constructed through green methods? And the second question is, do you refuse buildings, or how is the accreditation done?
I would say first, the first part of the percentages, of course, very difficult question to answer. We use actually in the Romania Green Building Council, we do not have a Green Building Council for ourselves, and we don't administer a rating tool. What we do is we use as a proxy the Energy Performance for Buildings Directive certificate. And so this is mandated. So the official answer is 100% of buildings are going and to have this, which is a start. Practically, there are ways that people can put buildings in, and this is obviously, I would consider those not green buildings and not, sorry.
Okay, how many buildings in the Bucharest office market have been built with green?
The buildings I showed you today, I think maybe all but two were in Bucharest, and there's probably others that, let's say, are not rated but would be considered green buildings. There's a lot of smaller buildings, medium buildings, a project of an architect or an engineer to come up with a very interesting project. But just to answer your question very directly, it's an extremely small percentage that are being rated right now, and definitely being delivered right now. I think I would say 2%, 3%, maybe. I'd say in the future, though, what's everything in the planning stages, I would guess it was probably 20 to 25% in the next year, and just based on the conversations and based on, it's not such a big market that we don't know a lot of the players. So I think this is, I'm not at liberty to talk about all of them, but I think I'm very optimistic that this is going to be a big deal.
So 20-25% of the Bucharest office market?
I would say of let's say the rating tools in Romania at this point are really big project endeavors. We're not at the point where we're doing a rating tool for an individual home, simply because even the energy audit itself is a challenge to implement at the individual small building level. So what I'm talking about is big players. So that's what that number refers to. So I would put that projection out farther to any professional builder.
For Poland, we did the survey, and it's in perception of the 120 people who responded, it's less than 5%. We have exact numbers. We have 32 projects registered. 90% of them are in Warsaw, and they're office buildings. And these are mostly Class A office buildings. And there's a school, there is an embassy, and I guess that's pretty much it. I think one or two maybe shopping centers in the pipeline. And there is growing interest. We get a lot of inquiries or a lot of requests for information, how to get certification. Can you guide us towards how to get your building certified, and so forth. So this will change. And also Poland is adopting rating tools. We are actively promoting their international certification systems, because we believe it's very critical and important to actually benchmark the buildings and to avoid greenwashing, because basically there's a lot of misunderstandings, and some projects claim to be green, which actually they are not, because they only look at certain part of sustainability. So that's why We are very proactive in, informing people about rating systems. For instance, in April we spoke with a number of architectural and general publicity magazines to make a green issue. So for instance, Architektura Murator, which is a major architectural magazine, or Przekrój, which is a general informational magazine in Poland, and also Polish Market, which is one of our partners, issued their month magazine, and half of it was devoted to green building information, to rating systems, to different approaches to sustainability, and we basically spent tremendous amount of hours trying to educate the journalists, give them information, provide them with case studies, and we see that this is actually paying off because people are getting interested in this a little bit more. And just a couple of words about the residential market. There is no certification in Poland for a residential market. It's possible to get, I think, BREEAM Bespoke through the UK. Lead for Homes is not available internationally yet. And I think the only available would be Passive House, which is designed for single-family homes, especially that's how it's perceived in Poland. But there's a lot of people, just individuals who are building their homes who are really interested about green, and they ask for dual flush toilets, they ask for geothermal, they ask for solar panels. And even yesterday I got a phone call from a potential member or just person who found our information on the website. They called me to ask, okay, what materials should I be using on my house? So I think that the interest is growing and the percentage will at least double in the next few years.
Yeah, in Hungary, I think I was trying to cover in my presentation most of the projects which you can find mostly in certifications like LEED and BREEAM. Those are office buildings, mostly Class A office buildings, and like I said, there is only one certified building under BREEAM, which is the Quadroom office building right now. For the residential market, LEED for Homes, like Agnes said, is not available for Europe, so most of the projects are using the Passive House system, and I think that's gaining a momentum in Hungary. But there is a huge amount of interest, especially from the residential market, and I think it could be driven, like I mentioned, that in Hungary, the owners in the residential market who own their own house is very high.
The BREEAM project is the AIG Lincoln project by the airport, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
My question would be directed to our Polish colleague. We heard from Stephen that since the credit crunch and the entire economical crisis, the new build market is slowing down or is recessing, and lots of companies and lots of market players are concentrating more on refurbishment. I was wondering, what is the situation in Poland? Do you concentrate more on refurbishment since 2008, or do you still go on with the new builds when you talk about energy efficiency or green buildings? So basically that's my question. And I also have a short question to Stephen. You talked about educational issues and curriculum. When you are trying to help with education, do you talk to the Ministry of Education in Romania, or you just do it with universities?
Okay, so basically Poland is very similar to other European countries where we have a lot of existing building stock. So, over 90% of all activities are within existing buildings. As I showed in a case study, to make those green are a little bit more expensive. It's a little bit more challenging. There's some studies going on across the world how to make existing buildings energy efficient and green more efficiently. So it's definitely a challenge, and we're trying to work with that. There's LEED EB, there's BREEAM in use. So you can benchmark your buildings, you can make progress in those. However, in Poland, as one of the speakers mentioned previously, everyone is going for the low-hanging fruit, which is new construction, because it's tremendously easier to get certified a new construction building versus a renovation.
Great. And regarding education, we're at the national level, Minister of Education, we're not in discussion. We'd like to be, but where we are in discussion is with the Architectural University Jan Mincu in Bucharest, as well as the Technical University in Cluj. We're working very well with some individual departments and individual professors who are actually co-designing some of these courses. But this is, let's say, what we'd like to do is take a very positive example from these courses and then go to the ministry with that.
Thank you. I stand up. So let me please add some information about the German Green Building Council, which is also a very young council. We are on the market for 1.5 years, so quite young. As I mentioned today, we started with the system and then we found the council. So it's a little bit the other way. But that's a little bit also the motivation. We heard tomorrow that the Hungarian Green Building Council is now, you try to start the plane. So we started with certification in December 2008 with 10 projects, so it was about 14 projects, pilot projects. Half of them were from the ministry and half were like from the free market. And today we have over 100 projects in the certification, so in less than 1 year. And for example, from my experience, I started with a big shopping center developer, the first project in June last year. And today I have 7 projects, and the CEO decided that every new build project will be certified. So in 1 year. From before it was, they never speak about certification. Certification was nothing where they could see any value. And today it's the situation that they're really pushing also in the European market. They are doing the BREEAM in Poland because this is the system which is with the International Shopping Center Council. There is some combination. But on the other hand, they try to also, they're looking for new markets in Hungary, in Bulgaria. I was in Sofia to bring that on the road. Also yesterday here. So I think you still have a market. You already have a market in Hungary. So I'm not afraid that the plane will not start. But of course, there's a lot of work to do. We, from the German Sustainable Building Council, with our system, we have the idea of bringing that system in the market and adopt it regionally. So the idea is what we did in Austria, where we have the ÖGNI, the Austrian Green Building Council. They adopted the system from the DGNB to their legislation, to their standardization, and that's what we try to do also with other countries, what we are trying, which might be an interesting thing for that market, because that was the problem in Germany. Everybody was afraid of rating German technology with an American system, because everyone said, why everything calculate new in American standards? So that was the main reason why we didn't have, we had few certification projects in Germany with LEED and BREEAM, but really it was a handful. So, and then we came up with the German system, and in between 1 year we had like 100, or I think it's even more, projects in the certification, because the market was on this way, but they were afraid of calculating everything in a new language and calculating it with other standardizations and other legislation tools, and that's maybe something which might be also in this Eastern and Central European market interesting. Bring in the system with your legislation and your standardization in the background, and that might something we heard today about different tools, and there will be always different tools. I'm sure that the market has enough value for LEED and BREEAM and DGNB things, but that might be something to bring up and helps you developing the market new.
Let me just quickly comment on that. We, of course, in Poland look at DGNB, we closely analyze that, and we feel it's a great system. However, for the Polish market, it didn't have enough, I think, maybe not experience, but enough market share and enough maybe brand name to bring it to Poland. And also that's why we didn't decide to build our own system, because we feel that in Poland there's so many international companies and many of them have already certain rating systems written into their CSR policies. So we feel that in order to engage the biggest possible market and basically impact the market transformation, we needed something that would allow for that we need a tool. And so basically that's why we decided, that we promote the rating system. And I think that Rafael can comment on that a little bit more.
I'm sorry to join in the middle of the panel, but the discussion started to be serious. We started to talk about the systems. I think, as for now, we are very young councils. We have to build structure. We have to have government support. We have to have financial support from all other associated parties, from all part of the building industry, and build our strength about this. We start to be intelligent about the system selection. I am a big fan of the GNB system. Right now, it was a decision by Polish Green Building Council to use the systems which are already available on Polish market. We are simultaneously using BREEAM and LEED, and we are open for the GNB as well, as long as it is already ready for adoption. We are very stringent about system neutrality in our country, and under great effort, with dropping some kind of very valuable investors, we protect our neutrality. What I meant by this, we don't know who the winner will be at the final thing. I think the solution will be, as my colleague from the GNB said, there will always be few systems. And the only reason why I'm glad is they work on common metrics right now. Therefore, I'm not afraid it will go in the wrong direction. It is actually going in the right direction. They have competition, this is the healthy, real, market situation. I would also like to touch about the subject. There is probably not a time to talk about rating systems. These are great tools. We want to try them, see which one is the best. And what's most important for our country is the market transformation capability. This is what drives us right now, and we try to do the best we can to show to the Polish producers, to the Polish market, to the Polish developers that there are things to be done. If they are not within the leaders, the leader pack, they will chase the tail. And this is the best, I would say, part of being in Green Building Council, that we are at liberty to not introduce our own system, despite we have a manpower capacity and we have a knowledge. This is not something that we are completely not aware of. Poland is actually doing pretty well. We are following the German standards right at the start. Some of the standards which we are not following very closely, we are actually having references directly to German standards. So in some cases we are even higher in German standards, very rarely, but we are. And what I meant by this, we are already having very high standards comparing to US. This is not not question about the standards. Right now we are trying to show the market transformation capability, and this is what is all driving us.